This is to the Cobb County, Georgia Police Department, Marietta. And this is in regards to the Cooper Harris, the young fellow that was left in the car and died. And since you put on there this morning on the network news, the police officer or detective that I think let me just say this. He quoted his 34 years. That takes me back to 1980 when antifreeze was pumped into me April the 1st of 80. And I should have died, and it was a fiasco there. I was illegally transported across state line to Huntsville, Alabama, where I should have died in all this. I got into a coma, kidney failure. I went to Buddy Darden later. He was a former DA who was a good guy. I think he and Tom Sharon both were. But anyway, in 83, I was in a political campaign and flown out to Larry Flint's to replace, it was special election, to replace U.S. Congressman Dr. Larry McDonald. Larry McDonald was a doctor at Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta, and I've written in 77, 78 about mind control murders, and Warren and Rosina Matthews, and murders at Piedmont Hospital, and go on and on. Mind control modifies behavior. It changes the person. They don't even know they're programmed. And if they did, if they found out, where would they go? Because if they went to a psychiatrist or psychologist or any mental health person who all they have to do is, if they don't know, they shouldn't be doctors, or mental health, if they don't know the Google mind control, but instead they'd be locked up in a state facility and given psychotic drugs if they even mention mind control or being programmed. Now then, the reason I'm doing this video, I don't go to the cops anymore. They all know it anyway. I came up here in 80. By the way, let me not retract, but just go backwards. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was living at Moonraker Apartments in Marietta. And the person that shot him was programmed, so he's a victim of mind control. And he killed Larry Flint's attorney. And I don't want to make a statement because I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to say this. Someone with NBC told me that Larry Flint, they filmed it, and he was shot with a Magnum, I believe. Anyway, his insides were, I quote the NBC newsman, all over the sidewalk there. He couldn't have lived. So I'll leave it at that, and I hope I'm not hurting anybody out there at Hustler Magazine, because at least they did do their part and tried to help me during the campaign, et cetera, et cetera. Now then, the reason I'm doing this tape is because, first of all, the detective mentioned the 34 years. That takes me back to 80. When I left there, I went back during the political campaign, living on the street. In mind control that I was dealing with and telling about, and by the way, I had a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office June the 23rd of 79, just prior to getting the antifreeze put in me. I had an ex-husband in 82 when I managed to come back there. He had taken over my apartment. He had taken my kids, our kids. My kids never knew that I'd had antifreeze put in me and should have died. They were never told any of the truth. But he ended up illegally getting my apartment. All of it, everything was illegal. He helped in what happened to me, the antifreeze. So it was attempted murder. Then later when I came back there, after working for the district attorney, working trying to tell all this with my brain bashed in. You can't take it out and show it. Excuse me. I came back during the Wayne Williams, and I can sound like I'm muttering around, and it's too much to tell. I'll just say this: the young fella, Cooper Harris, his father and mother were from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and they took him back there to be buried. Tuscaloosa is the state of Alabama mental health. And this is mind control has nothing to do with mental illness, but that's mental illness is taking the rap for a murder weapon that is so mass now. The agencies that use it, it's like mass mind control. Edward Snowden, just touched the um, tip of the iceberg on it, on what's going on. Anyway, Lina Dempsey, I was brought over here from, I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 41 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey and Emerita Childers. And both twins had been killed by their mother. She was had the children out of wedlock, and she killed both of them. And later in '83, I found out my real name. And I'll say this, the British told me, but I'll say this, I came back in '82 when I was put back on the street in the condition, trying to keep it together, trying to find my kids, because I didn't know if they were going to be murdered. Because I went to Cobb County, I went to Tom Sharon, I went to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. By the way, their lab, a girl there typed my manuscript, retyped it at one point. So there's nobody that didn't know all of this. And I find out people don't want to know. They want to kill the messenger. The Virginia Tech next to me here, I've lived in Roanoke since '86, tried to live. Did background on check on me, you wouldn't even get my real name or any of the truth out of it. But anyway, I wonder why I'm even making this tape, because at this point, I'd like this all to be over and told. Hope my children are alive, and I'd like to be able to go home and have what's mine, and people pay in court for what they've done to me, my family, my mom and dad, and my country. Now then, to Cooper Harris's parents. Mind control was used in that. There's no doubt in my mind. And by the way, I can't remember the name right now. 48 Hours had it in Rome, Georgia, and I believe it took place in '04. I can't remember the name. It was the other night, but that one had they're done in patterns. By the way, before I go further, you can blank out, under mind control, both parents can blank out the fact that they even had their kids, they're told to forget, and they forget. Plain and simple, it must hurt like heck that their child's dead, and that in itself is enough to kill you. And to think that they don't even know what was used on them. And they're the very same people, if I went to this information and it hadn't happened to them, they'd have me locked up. They wouldn't want to hear it. And I'm going to say this, one of the last times I was at Cobb County in '82, trying to get my ex-husband to pay me a little alimony so that I could at least get a place and get off the street. And instead I got locked up, and it was how? And it was illegal. It was sick. While just prior to that, I was there, and the Secret Service, Call and Cox, Phil Cox and Tom Cobb, I don't know if that's their name, came out there while I was trying to get money from a divorce. And I was taken back with I thought they said inspector, and asked to fill out my name, what color eyes, etc., etc. When I did, they asked me, is that your real, I believe they said, is that your real name and the color of your eyes, do you know, and your hair, are you sure about all this? And I was put back out on the street. Secret Service said, We have all we want. You can go now.